Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a cycle of stress and overwhelm? Join me this week as I chat with Kim Dioramo about her new book, Be Your Own Healer. You don't want to miss it. As we continue to transition seasons and discuss the importance of quality supplements, I wanted to share a special offer from my favorite supplement company, Seeking Health. You can get 10% off your entire order at Seeking Health by going to the link at my website, natalietysdal.com/favorites. It's a great opportunity to try their high-end quality products and experience the benefits for yourself. Seeking Health offers a wide range of supplements designed to support your body's natural processes. Whether you're looking to optimize your digestion, boost your energy, or improve your mental clarity, they have something for everyone. One of the things I love about Seeking Health is their commitment to quality. Their products are GMO-free, backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee, and formulated with pure, scientifically backed ingredients. My family uses them. Remember, Seeking Health supplements are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. They're designed to support your body's natural healing processes. So if you're ready to take your health to the next level, be sure to check out natalietysdal.com/favorites. Let's embrace prevention, support our well-being, and maximize our body's healing potential. Hey friends, it's Natalie here. I'm so excited for you to tune in to today's episode because I have my friend Kim Dioramo joining us. We had such a great conversation last time she was on the podcast, and today we are diving into her brand new book, just out, called Be Your Own Healer. Kim shares insights about how our bodies respond to our thoughts and our emotions and how we can really become our best advocates for our own health. We talked about everything from the mind-body connection to dealing with triggers and even some super practical tips that you can apply right now to start making a shift in your life. And if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Just head over to natalietysdal.com and you'll see a spot right there where you can join the newsletter. Your support, it really means the world to me. And I can't wait to keep bringing you even more inspirational and amazing content each and every week. Let's get into it today with Kim Dioramo. Kim, good to see you again. I enjoyed our conversation last time. And being that you have a new book, we've got a lot more to talk about.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So the title of your new book, Be Your Own Healer. And this is so important to me because I feel like we depend on a lot of other people to fix us and help us. And if we just understood and we knew how we can help ourselves, there's so much we can do.
Well, yeah, it makes a huge difference when we're connected within ourselves. Like our whole life changes, our whole perspective changes, our brain functioning changes. And certainly it changes our experience of everything.
Yeah. And I've always said as a health reporter for many years, you have to be your best advocate. Like you have to ask the right questions. You have to actually understand what's happening in your body, in your mind, to be able to fix anything. So is that where this came from, the idea of this book? And tell me, I know we can't go through the whole thing, but kind of give me the summary of why you wrote this book.
I had like a major awakening experience when I was younger and realized that my mind is connected to my body is responding to my thoughts, my consciousness, just how I feel emotionally is really playing out cellularly. And that the illness I was having, in medical school, I got a really severe illness, and it was like my body's actually trying to communicate with me. I didn't know how to listen. So I had understood mind-body connection and the body heals itself. But it was like, how do I activate this? And the approach I had was like, how do I get my body to do what I want? But I really never learned, how do I become receptive to what my body's trying to tell me? And when I did that, it literally changed everything. And I wrote my first book, The Mind-Body Toolkit, with 10 tools to use anytime, anywhere to activate that innate self-healing. And because as much as I had studied about this, I just didn't even know what to do when the time came for me to use this. So I made it more like a how-to manual. And this second book is years later now, there's so much more people are ready for with like how does our body respond to our thoughts? Hey, we're electromagnetic, we're pure energy. What does that even mean? And then, like, what is the technology of this body on a quantum level? And when we learn the quantum, like the technology of this body we're in, it is a massive shift in our perception. It's like you've got this spaceship and it can do all kinds of amazing things, and you're using it as like a storage facility, and it's gonna work. It's gonna be a good, closet, but it's not what it's designed for. And this body can do so much more when we really connect within and understand how to work with this quantum technology. And so that's what I'm sharing in the book in a very like easy conversational quantum physics simplified kind of way.
Well, let's start with, because I'm curious, let's start with the mind, because so I feel like I've even gone through a phase of, okay, I'm at that age, I'm not feeling as good, I'm tired. And I think a lot of my listeners get to that point where you just feel like, I'm just not as healthy as I used to be, or I'm just getting older. And once you believe that, well, that's a huge problem. But let's start there, and then we can talk about, because I know there's a lot more.
Yeah, I had an experience with this recently where I was really run down. I was getting sick frequently. My body just didn't feel great. There was maybe kind of like brain foggy, but just not recovering great. And I realized, oh, wait a minute. Ever since having had my second child, which happened later in life, and they'll say that can really be taxing. And ever since having that pregnancy and all of that, I'm like, I really haven't been the same. And so it wasn't this idea about, well, I'm older, but it was this idea about like, whoa, it's taken so much out of me, and I'm not the same. I'm exhausted. So I started to look at what's going on back there and how my body just never really had the time to recover, and what do I actually need? So I kind of used the same process of like connecting within, because I was trying everything. Like I was scrambling and doing everything I knew to do, but my body wasn't bouncing back from like this recent thing I went through. And I finally just found a deeper level of surrender, which is always like the key to that, like tapping into the quantum shift, and got really receptive. Like, what is required here? I know it doesn't need to be, well, that's mommy brain, or, well, you're however many years old, or, hey, you got kids, it's going to wear you out. I was like, wait a minute, let's like tap that right out of there. That doesn't need to be what my body plays out as reality. And I experienced a huge shift recently, because the next day I spoke with one of my best friends, and she's like, I'm doing this cleanse. And I was feeling so bad. I was like, oh my God, I don't have energy for any of that right now. But by the end of the conversation, I just stayed receptive. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. I heard exactly what I needed. And I realized, like, wait a minute, maybe I could do this. And then she said, like, the magic words, like, when you're receptive, synchronicity shows up. And she said, I haven't felt this good since before I had kids. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. And that's when it all came together. I was like, whoa, this is really linked to that. And I'm ready to let something go and have a huge reboot. And I stayed open. And sure enough, I had all the energy I needed to do the same exact cleanse. It was so crazy, but like I was ready. And so I had the energy. I even had the ingredients I needed. Like I squeezed a lemon in water while I was there on the phone with her. And I hadn't eaten that day yet. So I was like, I'm starting this today. So I went from like, I'm so miserable, I don't know what to do, like I'm lost in space, to just getting receptive and listening. And it was like, ding, ding, ding. Literally like the universe was like, step 1, step 2, step 3. And it was the easiest thing I ever did. And within like a week, I got a huge reboot. And this is just now. It was only like a little over a week ago of just making some major changes and doing this cleanse. But I had the energy for it, which is the thing. Sometimes we're not aligned. Yeah. So we're like, let me do this cleanse. Let me do this thing. And we're just like depleting ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because I really connected, it was like the right thing at the right time.
Yeah. And sometimes I find it, you think the cleanse is what's going to fix you, right? Like you were like, it's so much more than I have to eat the right thing. I have to cleanse. And we try to find all these other things to fix what we really need, the mind shift to say, I'm receptive, like you're saying, to a change. Someone said to me years ago, and this has happened in my life, and I've seen it to happen to other people, and you'd probably have a more elegant way of saying this, but it's like you have to get mad enough to make the change. Like, I am so tired of being a certain way. Now I'm receptive.
Yes,
Maybe
it's
mad isn't the
clarity.
right word. It's clarity.
Clarity.
But what
You
gives
get
that?
clear.
Where do you get? See, for me, it's like I'm fed up. Now I'm
Yeah.
ready. So you can call it lots of things, but how do you get to that stage of clarity?
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes you're in the mind and you might be so angry and so frustrated and think like, okay, I'm so clear, but you're not even in the body. So it
Mm-mm.
doesn't land. You got to embody. And the whole process of Be Your Own Healer is like an embodiment process of getting your presence in the body. A lot of the transcending and meditation and stuff is done like in a really masculine way where we're transcending the body, which is awesome. I meditate all the time. But it's a different thing to like bring your presence into the body and into sensation and into the emotion and into the awareness of like the physicality. But that's the level at which your body is communicating with you. So you have to like learn to embody, because then you're listening. There's sensations. Maybe you even hear specific, like, boom, do this thing. You feel certain emotions you become aware of you didn't even know were there. And that's really where your guidance system communicates with you. So no matter how frustrated you are and you have that clarity, you've got to start to finally like let it land, get embodied, breathe all the way down into your pelvis and actually have the experience of the moment, experience the frustration, experience the anger, experience like, whoa, I am so sure this way of doing it is not for me, but not from the like, I gotta get out of this, I'll do anything. Overcoming and transcending has to be from the embodying. So the masculine way versus the feminine way. The
Yeah.
feminine is like, you gotta go within.
That's so important. I love that, because I think a lot of people, myself included, I mean, if we're not being honest here about what we really individually go through, we're never going to get the answers. But you said something really key, and that is to allow yourself to feel it, because so many of us go, I can't, that's scary. Can't feel that. Move on. Go to the next thing. Call the next person, whatever it might be, to avoid the feeling that will help you move on.
And that's where so much of our life gets consumed.
Yeah.
So much energy goes into like the next thing and the next thing. And it's all the avoidance pattern. When if we would just allow ourselves to drop into the experience, it will move. And your body already knows how to heal it. And your body knows how to shift it. And whether it's like, I need to get a new job, or like this relationship's not working out, or something going on in my body, my hormones, my kid, all of it can be taken care of by the wisdom that lives in you.
Okay, so let's get to some more practical tips. So we admit this, we feel it, we allow these things to happen, and I think getting into your book and practicing this, it's not just going to be, okay, I'm going to do this. Wow, okay, I'm going to change. Like it's practicing it, right?
There is a process in the book that I guide you through where, and we can do some of this here, but you're basically beginning to like open up the sensing body. What this does is it changes the way your brain works. You know, right now the brain's on usually a lot of programs, a lot of these autopilot loops of like, oh yeah, don't feel that, let's march on. And we've suppressed almost all of our emotions. So they're not even coming to conscious awareness. Because people, when I see people, they're maybe super, super sick and they're like, no, this is not emotional. This is all physical. Here I have the x-ray, or I have the lab studies, and this is physical. But they don't understand our emotions create the physical. Like the suppression of emotions generates the inflammation, generates the degeneration, generates the lab changes or the x-ray changes or what have you. But if you actually begin to like have the experience, your body will release the energy that's behind that inflammation. So as soon as we drop into the body and like physically softening your body is the biggest key to that. You start to go beyond those loops, those automatic program loops that have you not feel and not sense and not like aware of the emotion. Because once I start working with someone, it's like instant, like, oh my God, the tears come, the sometimes shaking. They're like, there's so much emotion. Guess what? It was there 5 minutes ago when you're like, no, really, everything's good. Yeah, it's your body knows it's not gonna lie. So if you just start with like, clench your fists and like cinch up your face, get it all scrunchy and tighten your shoulders and inhale as big as you can. And then like exhale, release and relax your body on the exhale. you're going to be at least 2% more relaxed than you were a minute ago.
I felt good.
So you could just relax your body, but if you tighten it first, it's like telling your body, yeah, this is what I want to let go. And that physical letting go changes your nervous system. It shifts your breathing. Like you're going to breathe more into the belly, diaphragmatic breath. You're going to switch on more of the parasympathetic nervous system, the healing response. Even if it's only 2%, because sometimes when we're really triggered, you remember to do this, you might still feel super triggered, but you're triggered and there's 2% opening. And in that 2% opening, especially when you're triggered, that's when so much wisdom can come in of like what's really going on here, instead of the automatic programs that have you just suppress it and manage it and avoid it and make it go away.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Give me more tips when someone is feeling, and let me back up for a second. A lot of times we don't know that that's what's happening. We're living life, right? Yeah. So becoming aware of just that.
So recurrent patterns that are like, this happened again. I'm in another whole relationship, but like, whoa, they're just as narcissistic as the last guy. Or your kids are like pushing you away and won't listen to you. And you're like, why can't I get through? Or symptoms that are, maybe they're different symptoms, but you're like, the frustration is the same. And I'm always so frustrated and working so hard and overwhelmed. So noticing, oh, wait a minute, this is a pattern. Because stuff will come up and you think it's like, this one thing, it's like whack-a-mole. If I just get that mole back in the hole, that back down, you get into this game, but you got to stop and pause. Like, wait a minute. The whole thing is overwhelm. I'm in the frequency of overwhelm. It's not about what's the circumstance of today. It's about I'm living from overwhelm. What needs to change here? Can I shift something in me? So we got to sort of begin to see like, wait a minute, I'm in a pattern right now, and notice that. Or we're like triggered by something. And yeah, your automatic program is like, let me just get my energy up and get a cup of coffee. Or, let me just do this thing and, scroll on social media and make my mind more, forget about this. And it's still there though. Like it's not going anywhere. So you got to have to look at that trigger and get curious. Like, wait a minute, could I do this a different way? And that's where the like, take a deep breath. Notice A, B, C. So A is I'm aware. Whoa, I'm in a pattern. Now it's very uncomfortable to be aware that you're in a pattern. It's way more comfortable to avoid it or do your habits or like do your escape artist thing or just stay oblivious. No, everything's good. I'm good. And not be aware, but there's no healing that can happen. And you'll just be in the same situations over and over. So that awareness, even though it's uncomfortable, that's really the first step.
Okay, that's huge. What's B?
B is you shift your breathing. And so in the book, I guide you, and there's audios that come when you buy the book. They're really mini little exercises you're doing during the day, like 3 to 5 times a day for seconds, that changes your brain patterning, changes your circuitry. You're going to do a rewrite. And so usually in that fight or flight state we're running around in, our breathing is in the upper lung fields. We're using like accessory muscles of respiration. So neck, shoulders, chest, and that actually keeps you fired up in the fight or flight stage. It propagates it. So you're like using up all your adrenaline all day and like basically destroying your health. And you don't have to function that way. It's not even a wise way to function. And so as soon as you shift your breath, and you could do that little relaxing the shoulders to let the breath come more into the belly, you shift your nervous system from the fight or flight into the parasympathetic, the relaxation response. And so not only is your body like, oh, wait a minute, it's okay. And you start to restore your health and your hormones right away, but your brain starts to work very differently, where you see things you could not see before. Yeah. You respond in a way you've never responded. Like your voice sounds different. Your insight is different. Your clarity, things are easy for you. So everything starts to change. You're living in a different reality. So, and the more you practice this, the more you establish the circuitry for that new self.
So awareness, this regular pattern and habit that you create of breathing. What's C?
C is conscious choice. when we're in that trigger and in the feedback loops of the automated processes, like we're not aware of this, but like you're reacting and it's a program. Like you're not even consciously choosing your life. You're not even consciously choosing your, like, I'm going to go with this guy or I'm going to make this phone call right now. Like you think you have control over any of it, you're in an automatic program. So that's why so many women will be like, oh my God, I'm just dating the same guy over and over. Or, oh, I'm having like Groundhog Day. It's always, I got those things taken care of last week, but now it's just more stuff. So the conscious choice is like, you're going to break the pattern. Now, this part is the least essential. A is the most important. And then B greatly assists that. And then C kind of happens automatically. Like you're going to choose more consciously when you're aware of what's really going on in your system, when you're in your parasympathetic and you're in that relaxation response, because the insight is there and then the clarity just follows. But making conscious choice is like, say you're in an argument with your partner or like your kid, or you're in the, I don't know, oh, I'm late, I gotta get there. And you just like, wait a minute, I'm gonna do my AB. And like C is like, let me say this instead, or let me be silent instead, or let me take a left turn instead of a right. Like you'll make a totally different choice that you didn't even have access to or never even occurred to you that can change everything.
Yeah. How does this all play out then in your physical health?
So in your physical health, the awareness, like
Yeah.
when we become aware of what's going on beneath the surface, we always will shift it. Like you're not just going to become aware of all this anger and keep like torturing yourself or like holding in toxicity. So I've had a lot of women realize like, wow, like this one woman had really frustrated with her husband. And it was all like, oh, I got to get him to change. Oh, I have to have him read your book. And she's like reading the books and doing the work and this and that. But she's like, I got to have him do this. But when we really dropped her into her body, she realized like, oh, I'm always putting myself last. I'm always like self-sufficient. No, I'm good. I don't need anything. I'm not receptive. And he's actually just reflecting my inner pattern. Like he's just a reflection of what I'm already doing. This has nothing to do with him.
How common is that? Like so many women.
Almost universal. Almost universal. But it can come out in different ways. Like it'll come out with I'm fatigued and I'm always sick, or I'm frustrated with my husband, or I'm overwhelmed, I don't have help with my kid. So it'll come out on the canvas of your life in a different way, but it's like that same source thing of women putting themselves last. And when they make that inner shift, so her husband like immediately changed. She didn't even have a conversation with him. Started doing the dishes, started like doing these behaviors that she'd always wished he would do. And she's back in love with him. So it wasn't even that anything needed to be handled on that level. But like how many of us only handle it on that level? Yeah. We've got to make a change. You should do this. And no one's helping me. And it's like, no, they're just reflecting your inner game.
And our kids do that too. Our friends do that. Our coworkers do that.
Your whole life does it. Your whole life will be a reflection of, oh, you're going to take on more? Oh, here, let's pile it on you. Oh, yeah, she's always good for it. She puts herself last anyway. And it's like you're making an unconscious communication to the whole universe about how you're going to be treated.
Wow. This seems like on the surface, I hear this and I go, oh boy, there's a lot that we have to do. But it's starting with the awareness and then you slowly build into it.
And it's exponential. Like that little inner quantum shift is an exponential shift in the outer. The outer is going to be taken care of for you. Your hormones are going to rebalance. Your husband starts to do the dishes. Your kids are like in a different behavior. Like that is the power of doing the inner shift first. Or like the magic medicine shows up where you're like, I didn't even know this existed. And then the solutions to the greatest challenges, health-wise or otherwise, come easily. And so that inner work, it can be a little tricky in the beginning because like I said, you have awareness of this moment. And what's here in this moment could be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, your body's probably not all blissed out in this moment, but it's just a matter of willingness because it's not like you got to do any work. Your awareness is the medicine.
Yeah.
You bring your awareness to this space and it heals your body.
Anything else as we wrap up, last tips, last thoughts that you think my listeners will be like, yep, I need that.
Don't be fooled by the triggers. The triggers are never the problem.
Give me a
like
good
the
example.
situation. And then you're like, I got to read 10 books and sort this out. Or, because then it will always have you think you have to do more. So don't ever try to handle the triggers at the level of the trigger. Even if it's like, my kid is sick, I have to manage this. It's like, nope, you got to go in first. Because your inner
Mm.
healer could actually take care of your kid in a way you, the small self, you
So
can't.
when your list is longer and you feel like I have to get up earlier to accomplish all these things, you actually need to set it aside for the awareness first. Is my hearing you right?
Yes, when your list is longer, it's really just the universe giving you a big, powerful, enthusiastic broadcast signal. Go within. Don't keep going in that way. Go within, because the whole universe is in you and you will shift it when you begin to connect.
Wow. That's hard stuff, but powerful because, I just did that this morning. I thought I got to set my alarm an hour earlier because I have so much I need to do before. And yet I didn't take the time for the awareness of, okay, more means I need more.
If more women realized that, we will shift the planet so quickly, because there's so much power within us. And that's what everyone is starving for. They're not starving for more of your work and toil. They're starving for more of your presence and your self-love and your compassion and generosity with yourself.
Yeah. Kim, thank you so much. Best of luck with the new book. I know it just launched and I think it's just going to be a huge hit. You have so much to offer and so many great tips. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.